What is going on, YouTube? Welcome to the Living Free channel. My name is Tyler Freed, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over my investment strategy. And before I get into that though, if you're new to the channel, I would appreciate it if you would like the video, sub to the channel. Stay tuned till the end of the video. Check out some more of my other videos that'll be recommended to you at the end of this one. And I'm going to get right into it. So why am I making this video? Well, for those of you that do follow my channel, you do know that I've talked a lot about personal finance and just basic money management principles that I go by. And I will start by saying here, fundamentally, this is what I believe in. I do believe in getting completely out of debt. This is before you invest at all. It lines up with the Dave Ramsey principles. I do believe in getting out of consumer debt. If you own a house and you have a mortgage, I don't consider that a bad thing. I do think eventually paying off your house is important before you retire or whatever. But early on, getting completely out of consumer debt, so credit cards, car payments, student loans, things like that, get those debts completely wiped out. After you pay off those debts, have a 6-month emergency fund in cash. This emergency fund is for any unforeseen emergencies. Okay, so if you, and it's all living expenses pretty much. So whatever your bills are for the month, multiply that by 6, and that's how much cash you should have in reserves before you start investing. I do believe in doing that. That's what I personally did. I got out of debt. I saved a 6-month emergency fund, and then I started to invest. So those are the basic fundamentals, okay? After you get out of debt, after you have your emergency fund, I started investing. And what did I do? What did I invest in? Well, what I invest in is low-cost, not actively managed index funds. That's what I buy. Very simple. I buy low-cost index funds, and I spread my investments out, or my index funds out, 75% U.S. stock market, 25% international. And the reason I do that is because I want diversity. Now, if you're somebody that's like, well, I want to dabble with individual stocks, I don't personally do that, but if you were somebody that wants to do that, if I were to do that, I would only put 10% of my net worth into single stocks. I do believe in taking some risk there. I'm not currently doing that, and I'll kind of explain why I'm not doing that myself right now. But I invest 100% in index funds. That's what I invest in. Right now, at least. So yeah, 75% U.S. stock market, 25% international. That's what I'm invested in. And why am I invested in that? Well, number one, because I believe over the long term, by investing in index funds, and even if you invested specifically, say, an S&P 500, if that's all you bought, I do believe you'd be fine. Why? Because a lot of the companies in the S&P 500 are international companies. I mean, yes, they're based in America, but they have an international presence. For example, Apple would be a company that, yes, they're based in the United States, but they have an international presence. Coca-Cola, McDonald's, I could go on and on and on. When you buy an S&P 500 or a total U.S. stock market or an international index fund, when you buy those index funds, you're investing in all the biggest, brightest, and best companies in the United States and the world. And so I'm making a bet that over the long term, the United States companies, the international companies, over the long term are going to continue to grow their revenues, continue to grow their profits, and innovate over the long run. And therefore, their company stock is going to go up in value over time. I don't worry about short-term fluctuations. So for those of you that thought all I invest in is the S&P, no, I don't just buy the S&P. I do own some S&P, I do, but I invest also in the broader U.S. stock market and as well as in international. And I dollar cost average into those index funds. That is what I'm currently doing right now. Now, that is not, the stock market's not the only investment vehicle that I believe in investing in. It's not. I own multiple index funds, and they're spread out over the different types, like I just said, U.S. and international. But I do plan on cashing out some of the index funds I own, because I invested in those with the intention of taking that money and investing into my own business. So whether that be becoming an owner-operator, which is what I plan to do in the future, I've been saving towards that since I started in trucking about 4 years ago. I invested in an index fund, and that was with the intention of, hey, this fund that I own, I'm going to eventually cash out and start my own business in cash. And then I'm going to have these other funds that I plan to hold forever, really. I plan on holding them forever and either using them at retirement or passing them on to my kids, right, as an inheritance. But I do own some index funds where one is to start a trucking business and the other is to invest in rental property. Those are the two things that I want to do outside of the stock market. So the majority of my money, I'm going to keep it invested in index funds for the next 30, 40 years, or whenever I decide to retire. But I do own a couple other index funds to where I plan on cashing that out and using it to start my own business and also invest in another asset class, real estate. That is my plan. And so, yes, I could already buy a truck. I could do that cash right now. I could. But I don't want to put all my money, all of my net worth into owning a truck. I don't want to do that. I want to only put a percentage towards buying my own truck, because there's other investments that I want to make. And, well, really holding on to index funds is something I want to do for the rest of my life, like I just explained, but also invest in real estate. So I want to be diversified. That is what I want to do. Whenever I do buy a truck, I will be sharing that with you whenever I do that. But that's been my plan, and that's why I'm so patient with buying a truck and becoming an owner-op. I could do it right now, but the fund that I own to do that has not reached the point to where I want it to reach for me to at least start my business, okay? So it's that simple. I own multiple index funds. A couple of them, really two of them, are for investing in real estate, saving up to buy real estate, and saving up to start my own business. The other index funds I own are to keep there forever, and it's that simple. So how do I invest my paycheck? It's very simple. Everything I'm doing is extremely basic, and none of this is financial advice. I'm just sharing with you my personal investment strategy. This is what I do. I'm not telling you what to do. I just want to be very clear about that. But every time I get paid, I put 50% of my income into index funds, and I spread out that 50% amongst all the funds I own. It's that simple. That's what I do. And like I said, anybody can do this. Anybody can do it. If you're somebody that's working a job for 20 years, if all you do is invest in the S&P 500 or a total U.S. stock market index, or spread it out, U.S. and international, however you do it, if you buy index funds over the long haul and just dollar cost average for 20, 30, 40 years, you're going to retire a multimillionaire. And that all depends on how much money you put in. So if you're making $100,000 a year, and you invest 20, 30, 40, 50% of your income over the course of your working lifetime, from the age of 21 to say 61, you're going to be a multi-millionaire. And if you take some other risks, you take some money out, you buy rental property, you learn how to invest in real estate, or you start your own business, you can have even more than that. But the point is to learn about all the different asset classes that there are. Why would I buy a truck? Well, number one, I understand the trucking industry. If I'm going to start a business, I need to understand the business I'm starting. I need to know about that business. I need to study that industry before I start that business. And that's what I've been doing over the last 3.5 to 4 years since I became a truck driver. But I've also studied investing in the stock market long term. And so that's why I'm not putting all my money into starting my own business, because I do want to hold on to other assets for 20, 30, 40 years so that I can get that compound growth. And say I start my trucking business and I fail and I go bankrupt or whatever, I still own these other assets outside of the trucking business, and then I can just go get a job and replenish what I lost in that business. I don't plan on failing, but you get what I mean. Being diversified limits your risk, okay? And so that is kind of how I think about things. This whole video is about how I think about investing and things like that. And this is what's going through my mind each and every day. I'm constantly learning about asset classes. And what do I mean by that? Like, I'm learning about paper assets like stocks, bonds. I'm learning about the business I want to start in the future. I'm learning about commodities, and I'm learning about real estate. I study all of them. And just because I have a huge fascination for finance, economics, stock market investing, real estate investing, I have a huge passion for that. Even though I'm a truck driver, that's all I spend my time doing, is reading and watching videos about exactly what I'm talking about in this video. And I do plan on my channel talking more and more about this subject as my channel grows and as I'm able to get out of being an over-the-road truck driver. I want to eventually be home more and expand what I talk about on my channel. And I've mentioned that recently, that I do plan on doing that. And I want to bring on different experts as far as all these different subjects go and interview them. And I do plan on doing that in the future. But yeah, it's very simple, guys. I'm a very simple person. I'm a pretty conservative investor, to be honest with you. I'm very conservative with my money, period. But I also do believe in taking risk. I'm 27, and if I'm going to start a business, or I'm going to, go kind of a different path than the traditional route of, okay, go to school, get good grades, get a job, invest in a 401k, buy a house, pay it off, and that's all you do. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a great strategy, and if you do that consistently for 20, 30 years, you're going to be just fine. You're going to have a retirement. But I kind of want more than that. I kind of want to have, I want to have financial freedom earlier than 65 or 60. I want to be financially free, as I've mentioned before in the past. I want to be financially free by the time I'm 35. I'm not going to quit working, but I want to work on the things that I'm passionate about. This YouTube channel is an example of that. Also, I'm very passionate about the trucking business. I want to start and own and run my own business. And I also want to continue to focus on taking that money that I earn and investing it in assets like the biggest, brightest, and best companies in the world, like I just mentioned, over time, and also taking some money and investing in rental property. It's that simple. That's my plan. That's what I'm doing. I was asked about that in one of the videos I made about personal finance and basic money management. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. So I really appreciate everybody who stayed tuned until the end of this video. I would really like your feedback as to what you're doing. Everybody has a different financial, everybody has a different way of looking at investing and handling money and things like that. And that's perfectly fine. There's plenty, I can learn from everybody. There's people that invest in things that I wouldn't invest in, but I like to learn about what they do and get their perspective. So I would like to have your perspective in the comment section. And if you stayed this far until the end of the video, I really appreciate it. Like I said, God bless. Thank you for watching, and peace out.